diverted the river, created a new path, so now the river flows through the Parliament fields. And if you ask me, it makes it a much more interesting area to look at. We suspect that the settlers might have wanted this river for some rituals that we do not know about today. We cannot prove it, but we suspect it. But then again, maybe they were just lazy and did not want to carry the water. That is another option. Now there is a hill close to the Parliament field, a crack piece of the North American tectonic plate that has broken off the edge and is slowly sinking into the Rift Valley. On this mount, close to the Parliament fields, that's where we believe the low speaker was standing. The sound carries very well over the area from north part. The people in power at the parliaments, they were chiefs. In other words, they were Vikings and settlers that had divided the country up amongst themselves. If you were a man who did not own a land or a female, you were not allowed to the inner circle of the parliament. You had to be out in the spectator area and had no say whatsoever. But if you owned a land, you could appear in front of the parliament and ask for new law to be written. And there was one division that decided the law. There were 4 courts for each corner of Iceland. They had the task of resolving disputes and deciding punishments. If they could not agree on matters, it was sent to the 5th court. They had the final say. The law speaker, he was the only paid member of the parliament. He was a very powerful man, and his task was to recite the law at every parliament session. And the parliament sessions, they were not just parliament sessions. This was the biggest party of the year. This is where everybody wanted to be, and people wanted to come to sell their goods and trade their goods, raid some marriage, find a new wife, and simply party and festival. On the way home, the chiefs held road assemblies. That was done to introduce new law to the people out in the countryside. In Iceland, it's long been a tradition to bake rye bread in hot springs or hot areas. You can place a container with the dough in a steam above a hot spring. We dig a container in the hot sand by the lake. Then we place a amount of sand on top of the container to keep the heat evenly distributed. Then we place a stake or a stone or something on top of the mount, so we 24 hours later to dig our bread out of the ground. And that's a very good bread. We like to enjoy it with lots of butter and preferably smoked trout from the lake. This type of bread can be baked in a conventional oven. I bake my recipe for 12 hours at 100 degrees Celsius. On left hand side. The lake. The scientists, they tell us they have all developed from one species. This is one of few areas in Iceland where there is natural woodland. Trees, we don't think much of these trees, but in Iceland those are trees. They started to grow when the sheep was banned from the area. The settlers, when they arrived, most of the country was covered in woodland. It only took them 130 years to chop up most of the woodland. Iceland is, after all, cold country. And they needed to heat their houses and to produce metal out of the clay that takes a lot of heat. So it didn't take them long to chop up the woodland, so the country was left barren for a long time. Finally, around the beginning of this 20th century, we started to pay attention to the erosion of the soil and started to spread some trees and plant trees. And like in this area, we removed the sheep from the area. The sheep has been banned from here for a little while, and as you see, then the trees start to grow. You see there are cracks here and there in the ground. After all, these plates are sliding apart about 2 centimeters on the average every year. And there are there's more than one crack. The biggest crack is actually the valley between the plates, the Rift Valley. There are many other smaller cracks here and there. There is one in front of the Eurasian tectonic plate, which we are about to drive off. That one is called the Hrafnagjá. Hrafnagjá means raven fissure. We are just about to drive off the Eurasian tectonic plate. And visible here ahead of us and to the right is the Raven Fissure at the edge of the Eurasian tectonic plate to the right. And when we get to the other side of the valley, we will be driving up on the North American tectonic plate again. Now the glacier that we sort of did not see earlier is the one that feeds this lake. When you see the river flowing through the Parliament fields, you realize that it takes more than this small river to fill a lake this size. But the glacier melts and there are numerous cracks here in the valley, and the water moves through the cracks and towards the ocean. Some of it ends up here for a while in the lake. There is even one big underground river flowing into the lake. It's coming up in the southeast corner. It's called Vellankalla. When we stand by the lake, we see the big hole in the ground where the water is coming out, and sometimes where there is no wind, we can see small ripples in the surface from the water coming up through the hole in the ground. If the moss has enough to drink, it turns green and is very happy. When the moss is grey, it has not much to drink. Actually, that's how we want the moss to look in the summertime. We want it to be grey then, because then we know we are having warm and sunny summer. We are not always that lucky, I tell you, but we can always hope. If the moss has enough to drink, it turns green and is very happy. When the moss is grey, it has not much to drink. Actually, that's how we want the moss to look in the summertime. We want it to be grey then, because then we know we are having warm and sunny summer. We're not always that lucky, I tell you, but we can always hope. The wall in Game of Thrones was filmed. There are numerous cracks here to the left and the right hand side. We will be at our stop in a few minutes. Please make sure that you stay on the pass because there are cracks here and there.